Hi, everyone. It's great to be with you as usual. And just up front, I love you all. It's just, there's a sweetness that I feel towards everyone who releases worldwide. And so, what we'll be focusing on in the next few minutes is our stories. We live in a world that seems to be real, but what we're actually relating to all the time is our stories about what is, as opposed to what actually is. Even the story that bears your name, that we call our lives, is really just a story. It's not who we are. This life that is living as everything that is around and through that body mind is just a spontaneous happening. It's a natural flow of the one energy that all is. And it appears to be modified by the stories that we tell ourselves. And unfortunately, these stories can be very limiting. For instance, if we have a story that I don't know how to make money, we see the world through it. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Or if you have the story that I don't deserve love, again, you'll see the world through that story, and it will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you have a feeling that your body, or a belief or a story that your body isn't healthy, you'll watch your body get more and more unhealthy. And even the stories like, I'm this person living in a particular place, on some level are just a limitation. Now, is there anything wrong with stories? No, of course not. They're a natural part of living. They make up all our entertainment. They are how we communicate with others. It can be a very effective way of communicating to those we care about or to the world in general. And you can't have a healthy relationship without sharing stories with each other. So there's nothing wrong with stories in and of themselves. The problem arises when we think we are the story, when we think it's the truth, when we think we're the victim of the story. And that's never the case. Even stories are part of the one energy that all is. Everything is that. Everything is boundlessness, is freedom, is aliveness, is limitless. And that includes even you sitting in a chair or wherever you are listening to this. This is already the object of every search. It's just, it hasn't been recognized. And it can be recognized, but not by you. It's just a recognition that happens beyond the mind and out of time. So it can be very helpful to release on our stories. It produces an immediate benefit for that particular body mind. You feel lighter, happier, freer, more in alignment with whatever is apparently happening. Now, releasing on the story doesn't necessarily mean your life will change, but your perspective on it will. You might even discover that it's not your life. It's just the one life living as everything. So let's do a release on stories. So in this moment, could you just simply pause or stop? Now, there's always, for most of us, a narrator that's describing what's happening, that's commenting on what's happening. that's thinking about what is actually happening. So could you just let that pause for a moment? It doesn't matter if it restarts again, but could you just pause it or stop it as best you can? And then could you just allow yourself to notice this, whatever is apparently happening? What if this is already enough, is already freedom, is already unconditional love and boundlessness? Just let that sink in. And then allow yourself to think of one of the stories that you've either been telling yourself, telling others, or living in. Doesn't matter which comes up. Again, this is going to be left online so you can watch it over and over again. So just pick any story for now. And could you just simply welcome or allow the story? Is it welcomed? Is it what's apparently happening? And then when we have a story or a thought or a feeling or a belief that we don't like, or even that we do, there is this activity of wanting to fix it, change it, control it, understand it, do something with or about it. And could you just notice that, allow that, welcome that? Is that welcomed? Is that what's apparently happening? And then all stories have a subject, a me that they refer to. There's this sense in most of us that we're a separate individual and everything that happens in the world is objective to us. Our friends, our relatives, our body, all of it. We're the subject and everything else is the object. So could you just simply welcome or allow or notice that? Is that welcomed? Is that what's apparently happening? And then, as best you can, just for now, could you let go of wanting to make that story real? Could you let go of wanting to believe that story? Could you let go of wanting to be bound by it? Would you? When? And then could you be open at least to the possibility that there is just this, whatever is, and that needs no story to be, it just is. And then focus on that same story or any other story. And then could you allow that story to appear as real and as meaningful and as important as it does? And then could you be open at least to the possibility that it isn't as real as it seems? it isn't truly meaningful. It isn't truly important. It just appears that way. And then could you allow that story to appear as real and as meaningful and as important as it does? After all, anything that appears to be about us appears to be really meaningful and important and special. And then could you allow the story to be as unreal, as meaningless, and as unimportant as it actually is? I'm not talking about denial. I'm just talking about embracing this as a possibility. And then again, could you allow the story to appear as real and as meaningful and as important as it does? And then could you allow it to be as unreal, as illusory, as meaningless and unimportant as it is? And could you allow it to appear as real as it does? And then could you allow the story to be as unreal as it is? And could you allow the story to appear as real as it does? And then could you allow it to be as unreal as it is? And also, whenever we have a story, and you probably notice it coming up a little when we did the holistic release just now, there's a tendency to want to defend or justify or explain it because we think it's real and meaningful and important. And we're the victim or subject to the story. So focus on that same story or any other story that you've been telling yourself that appears to be limiting you or appears to be you. And then could you just check or welcome any sense of wanting to defend or justify or explain that story? And could you welcome or allow that? Is it welcomed? Is it just merely what's apparently happening? And then, as best you can, just for now, could you let go of wanting to defend, justify, or explain that story? Would you? When? And then could you be open at least to the possibility that this, whatever is actually apparently happening, needs no justification or explanation or defense? It is already wholeness. And again, could you allow yourself to focus on that same story or any other story that appears to be a limitation? And could you welcome any wanting to defend, justify, or explain it? Is that welcomed? Is that what's apparently happening? And then, as best you can, just for now, could you let that go? Just could you? Would you? When? And could you be open at least to the possibility that this just is. It doesn't need a story. It doesn't need an explanation or justification or defense. What if infinity doesn't need you to do anything about it? What if this just is timelessly? Okay, good. So I highly recommend that you listen to this a few more times or view it. And if you want to explore stories more, we're going to be doing a retreat in Bellingham, Washington, in an incredibly beautiful place. Uh, and this retreat room is quite small. It's actually in the harbor, Bellingham Harbor, and it's beautiful. But the room only holds 50 people, so it's only open to the first 50 who sign up. Plus, you can also do it streaming from anywhere in the world. So we'll be exploring and releasing our stories and discovering the freedom that already is and learning how to live that in our everyday lives. So thank you for watching this. Uh, Again, I love you all very much. Until next time, bye.